Hello and welcome to Who Be It, an unofficial Doctor Who watch along podcast.
Pump
Today,
pump it up, Cam. Get that energy.
today we're talking about the
We're talking about
last
Underworld, Cam.
Doctor Who story, Underworld. Ugh. But hey, I'm here with my co-host Ben. How you doing today, Ben?
It's doing good. I'm doing good. Life is good.
I'm happy somebody's doing good.
Eh, I mean, could be better, could be worse.
I
Just
know we got through Underworld, so it's like there's that quality to it. There's like
I mean,
theoretically you might not have to watch this story ever again in your life, Ben. Just think about that.
yeah, I mean, it's all gonna be uphill from here for the rest of my life. Nothing could be worse. But yeah, things are good. Been doing some game dev.
Mm.
Trying to do the stuff I went to college for that I haven't really been doing, but I'm getting back to it.
I
How about
watched Andor, Ben.
Andor?
I've been watching
Season
it.
2?
I'm in the middle of season one at the moment.
Oh,
It's good. It's really good. I'm really
I
shocked.
mean
I didn't know I could care about Star Wars again, and I do care about Star Wars again, Ben. It's a weird feeling.
I've heard, I'm sure you remember, Cam, when it was about to come out, I was really clowning on it. Like, do we really need the Rogue One spin-off prequel TV show about this guy, Andor? But I've heard it's like basically the best thing Star Wars has done in a decade.
Beaver Morse. Like you could debate that this is the best quality Star Wars has been since the 80s. Like it's pretty good. It does have a little bit of a feeling of like, okay, how much of this is actually like Star Wars? There's some episodes where it's like, okay, this is a little bit like an adult television show instead of like you know how George Lucas has always said like Star Wars is made for 12-year-old boys.
Hmm.
I don't know how much Andor is made for 12-year-old boys, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I
Um,
think that's okay though. Like I've always kind of thought that Star Wars can just be interesting people in space.
yeah.
Like you don't need to have Jedi to make an
Oh
interesting
yeah.
story.
And that's the best thing about Andor is that like
Like I've
there's nothing.
seen I really like Mandalorian for that reason. It just felt fresh in a way that Star Wars hadn't for a
At
while.
the beginning. And then all of a sudden
Like
Luke
I
pops
still
up,
haven't finished season 3 and it's
Ahsoka pops up.
also, as someone has not seen the Clone Wars, a lot of Star Wars right now just means nothing to me because I
Yeah.
don't know who Ahsoka is. I don't know
That's how
who. Uh, what is
Ezra,
who? Oh,
Boca
right,
Bo-Katan.
from Rebels, but who's in Mandalorian?
But also as someone who watched Clone Wars as a kid growing up, now it's like, all right, I never watched Rebels because at that point I was like, oh, I'm done with Star Wars cartoons. I'll do more other stuff with my time. And then now it's like, okay, now for all these Star Wars shows, you now basically need to watch Rebels. So it's like, okay,
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm kind of checked out. At some point, I feel like I am gonna watch Clone Wars. People do love that show. Do you love that show?
As a kid, I did. I haven't gone back to it as an adult. I think what's probably is the case. There's a couple of episodes towards the because it's a show that did a great thing of it matured with the audience. So it was
Yeah.
like it was kind of targeted directly to me of someone who started watching the show when they were 8. The first 2 or 3 seasons are made for 8 to 10-year-olds, and it was great for me.
And then
But
it's with
then
a teenager show?
but then it becomes a teenager show, and the last couple of seasons are like season 4 and 5 are really good Star Wars, and, like, some of the best Star Wars things that have ever been made. Like,
I
my
have
god.
heard that.
But now,
I'm
like,
sure I'll watch it at some point,
you
I've
got
I started watching it.
you gotta watch Andor, though, Ben. I'm telling you, Ben.
Alright.
Gotta watch Andor. Like, this isn't like, "Oh, it's somewhat good." Andor is very good. You're gonna love Andor. It takes a while to get into. It takes, I would say, 3 episodes to get into it. The 3rd episode is the episode that you're like, "I'm fully on board with this show."
'Kay.
And then by episode 6 is, like, one of the best episodes of TV I've seen recently. Like, it's really good.
Is
Like,
it
it's
better than Severance, though?
I would say I had a similar feeling on that 6th episode of season 1 of last night watching it being like, "No, this is, like, this is that upper tier level of storytelling," and like it almost felt like it's that tier of like this is cinematic like a movie. This isn't a
Really?
TV show. It was awesome. I was so amazed by it. I was blown
That is
away.
really high praise. I'll watch it soon then.
Like, and
'Cause
like, your perfect time right now, because of course season 2 is coming out slowly. So
yeah.
if you start watching like I did around now, you will be able to watch it when it's coming out, when it's fresh on everyone's mind.
Do you know what I've been debating a lot recently?
What have you been debating
They
then?
so there was a Star Wars celebration in Japan.
Yeah.
There's the Star Wars Fortnite season. I've been thinking about Star Wars, and there's a part of me that wants to do a half rewatch, half watch of Star Wars in order. So like, you know, rewatch the original trilogy, watch the holiday special, watch droids and Ewoks, and of course Clone Wars, Rebels, Resistance, Young Jedi Adventures, all that jazz in order, Cam. Release order.
Ben,
Think that's a good idea?
when you talking about this, did I ever tell you to watch the George Lucas talk show?
No.
Ben, I'm telling you, I'm gonna send it to you the link right now. You gotta watch this at some point. This show, I knew it existed. It is hilarious. It's a guy that pretends to be George Lucas hosting a talk show, and there's somebody there that's his sidekick is Watto. Is a guy that's dressed up in a Watto outfit and is acting like he is Watto.
Ooh,
And
I
there's an
know why you
episode,
like this
Ben,
show.
there's an episode, Ben, that has the cast of Severance. So they got Adam Scott and Britt Lauer and I forget the guy's name, the guy that plays I'm having a blank. Oh, let's look it up. Yeah, I was gonna say blank. Zach Cherry, and like they have them on the podcast, and it's hilarious because the show is at its best when they have big celebrities like that, because they're going like, what the fuck is this show? Where you have this guy that's dressed up like Watto and this guy that's full up just in the act of like, I'm George Lucas, I love the prequels, I love digital cinema. And they're just like, what the fuck is this? And they're
Why
explaining to Britt Lauer, who knows nothing about Star Wars, Watto, and how Watto is a slave owner and loves just to gamble on pod racing. It's hilarious, Ben. I love it so much.
why why does this exist?
Because it's hilarious. I think it's a product of COVID, but then it got successful enough now that they're able to do live shows with, and they actually get big celebrities like oh no, that was the wrong one I sent you. I sent you the right one. That this is the right one. Mm, This is the one with Adam Scott and Britt Lauer and Zach Cherry. It's hilarious. Give that a watch sometime, Ben. When you and it would be a good like background thing just to listen to the
Oh,
podcast.
2 hours.
Again, Ben, just think of it like a podcast, and you don't have to watch the beginning part. Just skip to when Adam Scott and and Britt Lauer come on.
Interesting.
It's very funny. I think you would get a kick out of it just because of the Severance connection.
Speaking of, I
Um,
saw this thing
yeah.
recently, and I was kind of dumbfounded that
If
such a
by the way, listener, if you're on YouTube, we have the timestamp down below where we actually talk about Doctor Who, and maybe
uh,
we'll do it, and we'll start doing the description for podcast as well. Let's go down below. There's the timestamp when we talk about Doctor
it's fine. It's fine.
Who.
I found this guy, Quentin Reviews.
Mm.
He did a 42-hour video essay about this show called The Beverly Hillbillies. Can you even imagine watching a 42-hour long video essay? That's
Like,
you wake up, you watch it for the entirety of the day, you go to sleep with it on, you wake up, it's still on, you watch it for that entire day as day 2, you go to bed, and it'll finish in the middle of the night. That's
I'm shocked
crazy. How do you even
that
edit a 42-hour video?
like how his editing program, if it's DaVinci Premiere, even allowed him to export, how YouTube allows him to export that file. That's insane. But
It's like a
also
2 t it's a 5 terabyte file.
it's obsessive. Like you don't need to make a video that long. Let's be honest there.
I mean, it is April Fool's, but, like,
That's
still,
the
even
commitment.
the commitment to that bit, that's crazy. Should we talk about Doctor Who, Cam? Have we delayed the inevitable long enough?
Underworld came out
It did,
on
sadly.
January 7th through the 28th. in 1978. Do you know what came out a week after this story, Ben?
Uh, the first part of the invasion of time?
No, what came out was I'm gonna look up when did Star Wars come out? Yeah, Britain. So Ben, put this in perspective. It came out a week before this, so it came out on December 27th, 1977.
Ah, okay.
So that is context. Context that is needed for Underworld. Because some kid out there saw Star Wars the day of when they watched Underworld. So they saw Star Wars, they came out of the theater, they went home, they said, "Oh, Doctor Who's on. Let me pop on Doctor Who." And then they watched Underworld.
I mean, at least it was the first part.
No, but that would have been the movies would have been around for a much longer than that. So like it could
Oh,
have been this whole run of stories.
true.
So just think about those poor kids, man, that suffered, that watched Star Wars and then watched Underworld and was like, "What the? This is not Star Wars." Even if you like Underworld, Underworld is not Star Wars, man.
Well, basically none of these are Star Wars.
But this in particular is not Star Wars.
Sure.
Directed by Norman Stewart. Norman Stewart doesn't have a Wikipedia page. What did he do?
He goes on to direct The Power of Kroll, and he was a production assistant for a handful of stuff beforehand.
Only the best stories, Ben. Only the best stories.
Planet of the Giants, Web Planet, Day of the Daleks.
Written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin. The Bristol Boys, Ben. Back at it again. Always consistently good, Ben. No, I shouldn't say consistently good. They always are consistent.
Yeah,
Um,
they're all the ones, Cause of Exos, Mutants, Three Doctors, Sontaran Experiment, Hand of Fear, Invisible Enemy. They're all at around the same level of quality, very consistent. This is not.
spoilers, Ben.
Spoilers.
So Ben, now that you've spoiled it for the whole audience, what did you think of Underworld?
It's
Since, by the way, we've gone in the raw file. At least we got 16 minutes before getting into this. So Ben, what did you think of Underworld?
I'm gonna say something crazy, Cam. You're not gonna believe me. It's bad.
Wow, I did not see that one coming at all.
Um,
But how bad is it, Ben?
it's like really bad. Like, so the obvious thing is the CSO, the special effects. Like, that's horrible. Shouldn't have even tried. Um, it's actively like it's a budgetary thing. I was looking like they made the ship first and they already were over budget, so they couldn't do the cave sets they wanted to do.
Yeah, so
Um,
supposedly what I read somewhere was they had the idea of like, okay, we're gonna do two big sets. We're gonna do one that's a cave set and one that's the spaceship set. They did the spaceship set first. Graham Williams steps back and goes away. He comes back and finds out they spent all the money on the spaceship set. So then they had no money left over for the cave set. So he's like, okay, we can just do it all on CSO blue screen.
they
And
could
that's
not
why we got what
do
we
it
got
all.
today. Of course, the other option, I don't know how much you've read into this, Ben, is that this was over budget and they also was just under budget in general. So they had a moment there where they thought they were going to scrape the story in particular and just give all the money that they had left over to Invasion of Time.
Honestly, that probably would have been better.
So that was gonna be my question to you, is that like at the end of the day, did this story need to exist? Would it have
It's
been better if this was just used for the next season, next serial? Which we can.
yeah,
We'll find out next episode if that budget would be used better in the Invasion of Time.
special effects aside, aside from it looking horrible, theoretically that doesn't matter if or that matters less if the script is really good,
Yeah.
if the
Well,
direction is
no,
really
we've
good.
seen enough Doctor Who to know that doesn't matter, man. In classic Doctor Who in this podcast alone.
Um, but the script kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Um, and everyone that isn't Tom Baker and Louise Jamison s- don't do a good performance. Everyone is very flat and wooden.
I
None
would
of the
say to go more than that, I think Tom also doesn't give a good performance this episode.
I mean, it's not his best. It's not. it's not the worst part of the episode.
But, like, Tom isn't, like Tom in a bad story can still be a guiding light. You could still be like, "Okay, at least Tom is having fun. Tom I'm seeing that Tom smile, and I'm still enjoying it." Tom does not give that Tom smile of,
Mm.
"I wanna be here." Tom just wants to die and wants this to get over with.
It's what it probably is, the whole story with, like, Ian McKellen on the set of The Hobbit
Yeah.
breaking down because he's, blue room acting against nobody. I'm sure that was just Tom Baker this whole story.
Oh, yeah. It's just like, "Why am I doing this? What is the point?
Yeah,
Why I'm not
just
even acting against anything. It's just a blue fucking it's just a blue wall. There's nothing for me to work with. There's nothing tangible here."
and there's, like, 100 extras.
Oh, no, there is but see, that's the moment where you can tell the story is gonna be rough, because at the end of the day, part 1 isn't really that bad. Part 1 is pretty fine just because
Part
1 is
part 1 is kinda slow and uninteresting, but it's not, like, horrendous.
no, it's just a part 1 of a Doctor Who story, so you're like, "Okay, what's going on here?" That's alright, here's the interesting stuff, and, like, I thought whatever the peace gun is, I forget the exact words they
The
described it, that
pacifier.
the pacifier is a good idea for Leela to be, like, calm herself down, and the doctor's like, "Oh, no, she's primitive," or like, "Oh, this could take, like" I forget if it was hours or if it was days, and then
Hours.
then the doctor, talks her out of it, and then she comes out of it as, like, being very even more aggressive. I like that bit of the story.
Yeah.
That was the highlight of Underworld for me personally, but
The problem, though, is they spend the next hour fucking around in the caves.
no, but, like,
W
there's a shot in particular that I was gonna say part 1 is fine, and then in part 2, very early on where is the moment? I'm trying to find the moment. It's not really early on, I should say. Is it in part 3? What's I'm trying to find that moment where it's just, like it's just a group shot of all of them. Do you remember that? Oh, yeah, it's, like, really early it's, like, the first couple of moments of we see the colony of them, and they're just running, Ben. It's if you look at YouTube, it's 26 minutes into YouTube, and it looks so bad, and they're, like, running out of the caves. It's
it's
just
just so slow. Like, this is a four-parter that maybe they coulda squeaked by with, like, a fine two-parter. There's
yes,
so much just walking around, filling time. It's just really boring.
yes, it very much is. It's I don't know what's I find more, engaging to watch, a static screen where it occasionally flickers or Underworld. Like and, like, even Tom, like, I feel like I'm curious to see how more episodes that is script edited by what's his name? Anthony Reed. Because in this story, like we were talking about like last episode where Robert Holmes knew how to write funny dialogue for the doctor and for Tom in particular. You don't get that this episode. There's not a really great funny line by Tom in this episode or multiple times where you're like, "Oh, that's a funny line, doctor." He doesn't have that wit to him this episode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The, like, only moment I can think of is, like, when he's walking very leisurely, I should say. He has the 2 bombs in his hands, and he's talking to a guard and says, "Oh, can you point me in the direction of the oracle?" And he's like, "Oh, I wouldn't take those if I were you. You're making a mistake." And it's, like, mildly funny,
Yeah.
but, you can tell his heart is not in it.
No. So I'm curious to see. Of course, that's going to change when Dudley Simpson comes in, and not Douglas Simpson, Douglas Adams comes in, and of course Douglas Adams just can't help but to make himself funny. So of course
Oh,
Doctor Who gets to the extra extreme, some might say, of it gets too funny, but
I'm
too
okay with
comedic.
funny.
No, that's why I think I gotta think you're gonna like season 17, Ben, when Douglas Adams does Doctor Who because it's funny.
I mean,
Um,
he does, like, 1 or 2 in 16, right?
he does 1 in
Like,
16.
Pirate Planet?
He does Pirate Planet, and then he's the script editor for 17.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Douglas Adams.
But, like, with this story, there's just it's hard to really do an in-depth analysis on it because there's not really too that much to go on
Yeah.
analysis for.
I think if I was the one who was charging the way, it would be interesting to compare it to the story we just watched, The Sunmakers. In a way, both of these are people rising up, revolting against the establishment, which is constantly putting them in check. But it just this sucks, and it's just it doesn't. I don't even know. What you looking at, kid?
Just looking at Wikipedia, it's just it's just a bore. I don't know that many people that would come out of it and just be like, "That was engaging 4 hours, not 4 hours. It feels like 4 hours, but 4 parts of Doctor Who television."
Do you think there are defenders of this story?
Oh, every episode of Doctor Who is someone's favorite episode of Doctor Who, Ben.
Even this one?
Like, I bet you if you go to the letterbox for this story, there's gonna be one sicko that's like, I love this. Can't lie. I am who I am."
I mean, he could be lying.
Like, it has a 2.7 on letterbox, which is nuts.
I'm on the time scales right now. I'm looking.
Well, like,
Okay.
there's some, like,
There's this guy,
yeah.
Cardboard Croton 6869. He points out it kind of develops some of Gallifrey and Minions. It gives a kind of I'm this is my own words now. It gives some kind of lore reasons for the Time Lord's policy of non-intervention. Like this is what happens when they do and they fuck everything up. And also there's something going on with Jason and the Argonauts. I don't know what that movie is. They like mention it
Yeah.
in the story cuz he's like you called that guy Jason. Is his name Jason? Is Jackson Jason? Is Jason Jackson?
Freya on Letterbox gives this story 3 stars and says, "I added an extra star that I originally was going to give simply because at the end Leela gives K9 a little forehead kiss." Which is the only reason why I could imagine somebody giving this story 3 stars.
Guess.
But supposedly it has to do with it has some connection to Greek mythology that I think was lost on both me and you. That we
Yeah.
both might be not familiar with the story of the tale of Jason and the Argonauts, but supposedly it is riffing on that. But if it is, it's not doing it well. And
I
also,
mean,
like,
even if it's a referencing something, it should work without it just being a
yeah,
reference.
you don't need to know Frankenstein to enjoy Brandon Morbius.
Yeah. What'd you think of K9 this episode, Cameron?
Ben, what did I think of K9? Was like I don't know, Ben. K9 was there. The K9, like, what does K9 do this episode, Ben? Do you remember anything in
He
particular?
is a battery.
It's a
Uh,
battery.
he,
I do remember that.
he charges and drives uh the minion's ship. He is K9 a he? No, yeah, there's a whole conversation that Leela and the doctor have. He's a he.
Yeah.
Um, he saves the doctor and Leela and the barefoot running guy at there's a skyfall and he saves them right in time for the minions to not blast off. What about the Oracle? Well, Cam, there's an obvious comparison to Zoanon, except it's less interesting.
Oh
It's
yeah.
literally just like a light on the wall that flickers, and they don't really do anything. And yeah,
You can just tell throughout this whole story that they don't have money. They don't got the money to make this serial. I think that
uh,
we're gonna see something similar in Invasion of Time. From what the clips I've seen from that story, it doesn't have the biggest budget to work with.
like I said, that can be fine if The script is good.
Yeah, but, like, you can tell this is a rough time. I think this is a rough time in just general in Britain, like, history, that the late '70s wasn't the best, which is why they got Margaret Thatcher as a prime minister, uh, because they had a rough economic period at this point of time, which is why there was, like, strikes and stuff, which is why, of course, they can't spend as much money as a public entity like the BBC, they can't spend as much money on something like Doctor Who.
They should put all of the country's finances into Doctor Who.
But like you mentioned, also like around this time, Blake Seven came out, so I would be curious to see what Blake Seven looked like in comparison to
What
Doctor
but
Who
is
at this
that
time.
publicly funded?
Yeah, that's BBC, I think. Still,
Well, tune in next week for Blake 7.
they did a season one collection set. I was
I've
tempted to get it.
I'm tempted too. I'm curious what I mean, we kind of know, but what is Terry Nation without the Daleks for one, and without someone who can kind of guide his hand?
Yeah.
Because I think for like Genesis, there needs to be a script editor who can like he objectively has talent, but he can kind of get lost in the weeds, I think. So I'm curious what Blake 7 looks like, and I would not be opposed to discussing it at some point.
But see, I feel like if I were to watch it, I would watch it after we do this. You know, like at a point where we're in it at the moment, Ben, of like this era of Doctor Who.
We
I feel
don't
like
need
it'd
to
be
do like a year pit stop.
like I don't think I need in my life more of this type of science fiction
No more 70s sci-fi.
on the BBC budget.
That's fair. I mean, maybe once we're sick of the 16th Doctor, we can take a break and do some more classic 70s sci-fi.
Yeah. I don't know if people are gonna come to this and be like, I really want an in-depth discussion about Underworld. But I guess you don't come to something like this to expect an in-depth discussion because you're just expecting somebody to trash on it, right? Like you're
I
expecting them to
mean,
go, "Oh, why did we watch this?"
yeah, I doubt they're like this theoretical listener is like, I want them to do an in-depth discussion of, well, like, no, actually, Underworld is very underrated. It's bad. Should we talk about cliffhangers?
Cliffhangers, Ben. Let's just move on from this travesty. Actually, no,
The
no, no, no. Wait, wait, wait. We still got the topics to discuss. We have the two topics in the two segments before cliffhangers. So, Ben, what's next?
special effects?
No, usually you do the last week you did the what's importance that the story has in Doctor Who.
Oh. Question before that. What what could this story what does this story need to be even an average story? What could be changed?
Beat the fuck out
Money?
of me. Like no, because like you said, the script is just bad. It just isn't an engaging script. There's nothing really there that you can. There's no meat on the bone on the script of Underworld.
It doesn't feel like it has anything to say.
Like if they shot this in an actual cave, let's say, right?
Yeah.
This wouldn't improve the story that much. The CSO
Not
is
that
not the
much.
problem here.
Yeah.
Like if we're
So
over here
what it
being like,
needs is a different if it needs to be a different story
if we're
by
over here
a
being like,
different person.
God, we miss Invisible Enemy. That's not good, Ben. That's not
What
good at all.
what do Bob Baker and Dave Mart what do the Bristol Boys do next?
They do the Armageddon Factor, which is regarded as being also just as bad as this one.
Oh, it's the
And
finale of
and that's a six
16.
that's a six potter, so lock in.
Okay, we'll see. So what kind of impact does this story have on the future of Who?
It's regarded as being one of the worst stories ever. Um
But do they
also
talk about the minions?
also like very much going forward from the story, anytime that a story uses a lot of CSO or green screen. It's often referred to as, oh, they're just doing Underworld again. Even up to like nowadays, when like I remember why Blue Yonder, people were being like, oh my god, they're doing Underworld again. Because my god, one day Doctor Who will learn that they can't do just a full green screen episode, but they'll keep on trying, Ben. They keep on trying. So Ben, in your opinion, what's the best and worst special effect of this serial?
The worst is the caves.
Oh, 1000%.
The best, the I thought the like ship model work was not bad,
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing. The ship model work at the beginning and like later on is
and
it's
like
pretty good.
the what was it? It's not a black hole. A nebula. There's a the like nebula kind of looked all right. Basically, the special effects that were in part one looked fine, and the rest of the story,
Yeah, because even like
uh,
on their like TV screens, the that effect doesn't look the worst in the world.
yeah.
You can
But
kind of
yeah,
just tell
the
that
the model
and
work
also
is
in part one, like the suits of the people on that first ship aren't that bad.
they're not good. They
Um,
remind me of the Revenge of the Cybermen
yeah,
suits.
yeah, it's very similar to that. It kind of looks like an exoskeleton type thing.
Yeah, it's not good.
Not the worst thing in the world, Ben.
Technically, it could be worse. Technically, all right.
Now
Is it
cliffhangers, Ben.
one? The ship is being buried under asteroids. Two, the doctor attempts to reverse the fumigation process of the cave. Three, they're like sneaking into the P-70 ship and the like old guy slips and they're gonna be caught or something. I don't know. It just kind of the episode ends with a guy tripping. I don't really know what the stakes are there.
We have to put that down as well when we go through when we finish classic Doctor Who and go, what's the worst cliffhanger?
Um,
Guy
I
trips.
I guess technically one is the best.
Yeah, it is the best, but it's not a good best. It's just an average fine
It's a
cliffhanger.
technicality for sure. So Cam, what would you rate this story? I'm If I had to guess, it will be low.
What is I have to go back to my third Doctor rankings. I didn't get anything a 4 last season. Is this a 4, Ben? Does it go to a 4? Does it go to a 3? How
I
low
think
does it go?
I think like looking at our lowest rated stuff, like this is worse than Colony. This is
1000%.
this is
Colony
worse.
had Colony at least had Roger Delgado.
Oh yeah.
Like that
I
does not
miss
have
Roger
Roger
Delgado
Delgado.
so much. This is worse than Death of the Daleks. It's this is worse than Monster of Peladon even.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
I
I gave Monster Peladon a 5.6. Oh no, I gave the Time Monster a 5.6.
okay, I'm looking back even further. Um it's worse than the Wheel of Space. It's worse than is it worse than the Space Pirates? That's a
That's
good question.
that's a great question for you, Ben, because the Space Pirates, of course, we don't have it. So you had to watch still pictures for a
I had
majority of that story.
well, do we have one of them?
We have
I
one of them.
think we have one episode.
Yep. Of a six spotter. So is this better than Space Pirates? That is a great question. What would you rather watch?
That's a real moral dilemma.
I
Well, you always do it first, Cam. So what would you rate it?
think I'm gonna give it like it's just hard because like how low do I go? I could imagine a world that I give this like a 2, but there's the possibility, like you did with Genesis, there could be a worse story than this.
I
Like,
mean, that's still leaving quite a few points. Like, that leaves if you give it a 2 something, that leaves the ones, that leaves the zeros.
all right, I'll give it a 2.7. A 2.7 sounds right.
I guess that is my question is Space Pirates. Space Pirates, I gave 1.5 stars, so that's a 3 out of 10. Is this a 2 or is this a 3? Or is this a 1?
What would you rather watch more, Ben? That is the question. Tomorrow, somebody says you have to watch one of these.
I mean,
Of course, Space Pirates has what's going against it is we don't have it, and so you have to put that in perspective. How much are you gonna? How much is that in your ratings
okay,
of not being able to
this
actually watch it?
had if Underworld had a crazy southern guy, it would be way better. So I'm gonna say this is worse.
Like,
And
would
this
you?
is
Do you think you would enjoy this more? Do you think you enjoy Underworld more if it was just static images slightly moving?
oh, like if this was a an Underworld reconstruction, would it be better or
Yes.
worse? Oh, that's an interesting question. No, it would be worse. I'm gonna give this a 2.4
Wow, lower than me.
or average
Average.
of 2.55.
The Doctor Who poll. Of course, the magazine every couple of years does a poll where they rank the Doctor Who stories. Fun fact for Underworld uh, is it has always had the honor of being the worst Fourth Doctor story in every poll that they have done. Even in 2003, while they used a different system, it was still like it was still ranked the lowest it could possibly be. In 2009, it ranked as the number 197th story out of 200. And then in 2024, it ranked, I mean, sorry, 2014, it ranked number 237 out of 241. And it had an average rating of 46.68. Above it was the Space Pirates, and below it was Time Flight.
Wow. So they agree Space Pirates is technically better.
Yes. Space Pirates is a better by, let me just go back. I closed the magazine. What is it better by? Better by a whole no, it's not by a whole percentage. It's better by like almost a half percentage. It's better than. I mean, yeah, more than that. Let me
I
see.
mean, that's basically what I put.
Yeah, it's basically it's they say it's almost better than better than a half percentage. I mean, more than a little bit more than a half percentage. So like that makes sense.
Yeah, it's bad. Um,
Will Doctor Who get worse from this? According to the poll, Time Flight, we will see.
what is two? You said out of 241.
Yeah.
What
So
is
below this,
241?
the Twin Dilemma, which I think the Twin Dilemma you're gonna like more because the Twin Dilemma I think is at least gonna be fun. Not fun, but it's gonna be at least like it's
I mean,
it's
it's the introduction of Colin Baker, so at least it should have that going for it.
but like it's gonna be interestingly bad. Underwood isn't interestingly bad. This is just boringly bad.
Yeah.
Fair Her is below that. I mean, is above that. Fair Her is a 10th Doctor story that's also really bad. It's one of the worst New Who stories. And then Time in the Rani is above that, which is the first 7th Doctor story.
What is with the like post regeneration story sucking?
Uh, The 80s was a wild time, Ben. And then above that was Time Lash, which is an also awful Colin Baker story. I think that's worse than the Twin Dilemma. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I've never seen the Twin Dilemma. I think that is from what I have watched. Time Lash is still the worst Doctor Who story I've ever seen. So we will see when we get to it if Time Lash is worse than Underworld. It's really fucking bad, Ben.
Are you excited to rewatch it?
No.
Well.
And then above that is, like I said, Time Flight, which is uh which you would think would be better because it's the finale of season 19. It's the Doctor and the Master right after Earthshock.
Earthshock
So
is
go
the
for that.
Cyberman one, right?
Yeah. Spoilers.
How could the is it Anthony Anley?
Yeah.
Ainley? How could that master be bad?
I know he wears a really bad mask in Time Flight. That's all I know. And that's supposed to be really bad.
I guess we will see. I'm looking forward to the master returning. He wasn't very good in Deadly Assassin.
How dare you?
I mean, I he wasn't Delgado
No.
in um
The Master is not the best part about Deadly Assassin.
no. It was Gallifrey? Would you say?
Nah, it's the Matrix. The Matrix is the best part of Deadly Assassin. All the Matrix stuff is just
Yeah.
superb.
Well, next week we will be going back to Gallifrey, and maybe there'll be Matrix shenanigans with the
Maybe a
invasion
returning
of
foe will be
time.
there.
Could be. And I know there's Vardens, so I'll be able to watch that First Doctor Companion Chronicle with Oliver Harper that I'm pumped for.
Well, the Vardens been better if they had a little bit more budget that was used in Underworld. We'll see.
We will see.
So join us next week as we discuss the invasion of time. Peace out, everyone.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.